Good morning, my name is Hans-Jørgen Bendiksen. In 1972 I became an occupational therapist, and in 2015 I retired as an associate professor. My presentation is my narrative about how I use digital artwork to hold on to my important memories. Annette is a very good friend of mine. Here you see Annette's mother looking at an old picture of her family members. Before she died some years ago, she was affected by dementia. Annette told me that when holding the framed picture in her hands, her mother appeared to be calm and content, and she smiled for quite a while. A peaceful moment, and one that illustrates the importance of reminiscence therapy for dementia. Throughout my life, I have been a photographer. On the left side of the timeline, you see a list of the cameras I have owned in my life. On the right side of the timeline is information about my closest family in green letters, my degrees in white letters, and the jobs I have had during my professional career as an OT in black letters. Today, digital artwork is my main occupation ever since I retired 6 years ago. A couple of years ago, I was introduced to this album, An Empty Bliss Beyond This World, made by the British ambient musician Leyland Kirby, also known as The Caretaker. The music at the album is based on the same principles as the reminiscence therapy. Seeing, hearing, feeling, smelling things from the past makes people suffering from dementia calm and content. Hearing the album for the first time and listening to it ever since, images, photos, emotions, and memories from my own life have exploded in my mind. And the inspiration was there to create digital artwork for each track on the album. Creating my digital artwork, my paintbrush is a PC and the Photoshop application. My paint is fragments of photos from my life, and my canvas is a PC screen. The workflow is usually like this. The fragments are mounted next to each other or layered. Until a work of art emerges that I like, the fragments are digitally manipulated so they are distorted, brightened, darkened, blurred, enlarged, diminished, etc., etc. Here they are, the 15 pieces of artwork based on the Bliss album. I would like to tell you about 3 of them: Get There, Long Term, and Bliss number 2. This is Get There. Like the other pieces of artwork, it measures 40 by 40 centimeter and is mounted with a passepartout in an off-white wooden frame, which is 60 by 60 centimeter. It is on display at the After Art Gallery in Folkestone, Kent in UK. Now listen to the beginning of the corresponding track from the album. The artwork Get There is a combination of Photoshop fragments from 4 photos. Each photo echoes important memories from my life. Let me explain how you read my slides. On the left you see the original photo I used. On the right you see the photoshopped version of the photo and how it turned out in the specific piece of artwork. The first is from the Rebild National Park in Denmark. The road you see in the picture leads to a restaurant in the national park at which my family used to celebrate family events when I was a child. In my mind's eye, it was the road to family harmony. In the 1950s and 60s, I grew up in the city of Aalborg, situated on the southern bank of the Limfjord Inlet in Jylland, Denmark. On the northern bank of the inlet lies the city of Nørresundby. A railway bridge across the Limfjord connects the two cities. As a child I was fascinated by trains and railways, and because I knew that the railway tracks ran down through the whole of Europe, to me this particular bridge was a gate to the whole wide world. To me, the Limfjord also constituted a border between boring everyday life in Aalborg, with family troubles in school and so on one side, and a carefree and untroubled life on the other side. About 30 kilometers to the north of Aalborg, and close to the North Sea, you will find Blokhus, my summer paradise. This is where my grandparents had built a summer house, and I spent every single summer for the first 50 years of my life there. You can cross the Limfjord by car using the Limfjord Bridge. Regularly and operated from the colorful wheelhouse on the bridge, the two bridge flaps are opened and closed to let sailing traffic pass. I have always been both frightened and fascinated by the narrow crack between the two bridge flaps, through which you can look straight down onto the water. To me, the Limfjord Bridge was then, and still is, a captivating border between real life and the easy life. In conclusion, this piece of digital artwork interprets a range of emotions and experiences about getting there in my life. Specific locations are involved, and the artwork makes me able to sense the mix of emotions related to my life, filled with challenges, worries, love, and summer by the sea. The next piece of artwork is called Long Term. Let us listen to the beginning of the corresponding track from the album. The artwork Long Term is also a combination of Photoshop fragments from 3 photos. All my life I have been fascinated by the North Sea. Here all 3 photos used are of the North Sea. The first depicts the sea taken from the top of a very tall sand dune. As you can see, there are millions of color nuances in the water. The sea and those colors especially have a deeply calming effect on me. At the beach, you can hear the infinite sound of the breaking waves, and you can find yourself almost blinded by the light reflecting in the ever-changing surfaces of the water. And finally, the ever-changing lucidity of the water. Sometimes you can see the bottom, sometimes the water is opaque like milk. I don't know why, but I feel safe at the water, despite the unpredictable transparency of the water. In conclusion, this digital artwork, in this I see, I sense and memorize the beauty of the colors, the sounds and the reflections of the light, as well as the lucidity of the water, and I hope that the sea will stay with me as long as I live. Finally, the third and last piece of artwork is called Bliss Number 2. Now please listen to the beginning of the relevant track from the album. As a child, when I had been put to bed during a wonderful summer stay at the family home in Blokhus, I could see warm rays of light under the door emanating from the living room. I remember feeling totally safe at the time, and my memories fill me with immense gratitude. In fact, as an adult, I have rediscovered my true element, the water. Today I row regularly on water in an in-rigger boat together with very good friends. My chosen sport has given me countless wonderful experiences in the middle of nature and a special feeling of companionship with a group of fantastic like-minded people. This picture is taken at Roskilde Fjord from one of the safe and beautiful places that we visit during our weekly rowing trips in the early evening. And finally, growing up, I could see this tower, the Aalborg Tower, from my home in Aalborg, the city on the southern bank of the Limfjord. To access the viewing room at the Aalborg Tower, there was a lift. Observing the lift from my home, the lift traveling up and down, up and down, and up and down the Aalborg Tower, had a pleasant and soothing effect on me. When I close my eyes, I still remember the feeling 60 years later. So, I see, I sense and memorize the feeling of safety and calm in this piece of digital artwork. I hope that the feeling will stay with me for as long as I live. Once I had finished the 15 pieces of digital artwork, I realized with great joy that they indeed represent very important memories to me. However, they are entirely based on the caretaker's music. They are not based on my life, my whole life. So I started over and created a new group of digital artwork which I have called My Important Memories. Each piece of additional digital artwork has been created in exactly the same way as the three I have presented today. I have produced a book with the new digital artworks accompanied by text about my memories. The title of the book is To You, My Dear Ones, My Children, My Wife, and My Grandchildren. The introduction to the book contains sections of the abstract to this presentation. If my memory were ever to become impaired, these artworks, photographs, and narratives from my past would still be important to me. Hopefully, they will enable me to hold on to my relationship with family, friends, and professionals, and to recall the life narratives embedded in the photographs and artworks.